This is an ultralight 5-inch bind and fly model with a dry weight of 147 grams and an all-up weight of 250 grams using an 850 mAh 4S LiPo. Now, being under 250 grams is not beneficial in all countries, but it does apply to some. And to get the weight down, they're using a single unibody with cutouts, which does cause quite a bit of flex in the frame. They provide a battery strap and a piece of foam to try and stop the battery from slinging in a crash, but from my experience, foam doesn't usually do a very good job, so I'd replace that with some silicone. The motors are Brotherhobby branded with a 2204 stator, meaning that there will be less torque than a usual 5-inch motor, but they have tried to counter that by upping the kV to 3150, and they're also using a 1.5mm shaft with an adapter in the middle for the included 5125 gem fan props. My concern here would be that the adapter might break the same time the prop does, but you're only given one set of props in the package anyways. The all-in-one board is HLRC's Zeus with 35A BL Heli S ESCs and an F4 flight controller. They're also using an XT60 connector, which is uncommon for 850 mAh 4S LiPo, so make sure that you have the right one. And there's a 1000 microfarad low ESR capacitor to filter out any noise. It's come flash with Betaflight version 4.1.5 and it needs a full setup, so you'll need to be accustomed to Betaflight to get it in the air. Even the PIDs are stock values. The VTX is the HDLRC MT Mini, which is power switchable via the Tramp protocol up to 600 milliwatts. However, it's only set to 400 milliwatts in the VTX table in Betaflight, so that's something that needs sorting out. And the antenna is specific to this model and it's hot glued into the top of the canopy. This is the bind and fly version that comes with an XM Plus receiver with the RSSI firmware flashed to it. It's also available with the LBT firmware as well as a Crossfire receiver and Futaba receiver. It's not easy to get to the bind button on the XM Plus with it being wedged between the stack, and while I like how they have mounted the antennas using straws, the straws keep falling out. And I think that's because the 3D printed canopy isn't printed from a flexible material, so I can see it potentially cracking during a crash as well. The camera is the 2.1mm Cadex Ratal, and they haven't provided the controller board to change any of the settings, so unless you already have one, you are stuck with their values. As for a racer, there isn't a huge amount of camera movement available either, although it should be ample for my style of flying. And there's not much camera protection up front either, but I don't think there's much of a choice without adding a lot more weight. Left in the box are some screwdrivers, Allen keys and some spares for the stack. Okay, let's go for a line of sight flight with this guy. Unfortunately, I can't do my usual speed runs with it because the grass is too long. So I thought I would do a punch out and we can see what it sounds like and how much power it's got from there, make an estimate. Oh, can you hear it twitching there? Might be a little bit of noise feeding through to the system. Either that or it's just so sensitive. I mean, I'm on probably about 10% throttle to get a hover. Wow, and it just disappears. I need to be careful. Oh, it is floating down, look at that. Probably a combination of the wind and how light this thing is. Let's try acro. Oh, yeah, it's fast, this one. Definitely something happening there though. I think a little bit of noise or something. It's hardly surprising if they haven't touched any of the filters or anything like that. Everything's just stock. Bags of power though. Have to see how that twitch manifests itself flying. It's really getting knocked by the wind. I mean, it could be that because it's not freaking out. It could be being hit by the wind and the flight controller reacting. I don't know though. Unfortunately, there aren't any calm days coming up. In fact, this is the nicest day of weather we've had for quite some time. But anyways, it flies line of sight, got bags of power. I think there's a little bit of a twitch there though. You have to keep your eye on it. Right, let's bring it in for a landing.